attorney privilege or something like that. All right, I'll do the intro.
Some sort of words.
What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power lines that are just kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg. I'm joined today with TikTok lawyer, at least half of them, Paul Vincent. How you doing today, Paul?
Hey, pretty good. How about yourself, man?
Hey, I can't complain. It's a Monday. It's another
Pretty
week of
exciting.
opportunity, right?
Mondays are fun. How is Canada? Is it
Canada,
cold?
it's cold,
Same. Same.
but at least the weather isn't trying to kill us yet.
Not yet.
So that's
Just the viruses. No big
just
deal.
the viruses and all that kind of fun stuff.
That's fun.
But for those of you in the audience who've never seen a Chance Encounter before, what we do is we go through the 5 different motivations for a commercial deal, for a commercial investor wanting to get into their next deal. And then we go through the 6 different roles that are in a commercial deal. And we say, hey, which one's you? But the most important thing, if you're going to be successful, as far as I'm concerned, is that you can introduce yourself very well. So Paul, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
If I don't have to do it well.
That's true.
That's true or false. Hey, my name is Paul Vincent. I'm an attorney. I own a law firm with my brother Adam. We're based out of Cleveland, Ohio. We target the entrepreneurial experience in most of our clients. So if you're a guy or gal looking to take a commercial property down, we can help you kind of start to finish on that. And then when you're successful or not successful and you just have stuff that you want to get rid of, we help a lot of people with their estate planning to make sure that they know where their stuff is going and how their kiddies are taken care of. So that's what we do. We also invest a little bit of commercial real estate ourselves. We own a piece of 165 units with some partners out in Illinois. So we've been through a lot of the same struggles as many of your listeners, and that we're all still trying to figure this out. So
good stuff. Good stuff. So let's start off with motivation, and I need to put it on present. And then I need to hit this magic button right here and scoot over here.
Wow.
So the motivation piece, everybody, even the beginners, they know their motivation, but they don't necessarily know what the role they're going to be taking is. So that's why I go through motivation first. So the first motivation for wanting part of a commercial deal is preserving your purchasing power. So that's your family offices, independently wealthy people, people who depend on the cash flow from their wealth that their wealth generates in order to stave off inflation, because inflation is a great big party pooper. That's motivation number 1. Motivation number 2 is my one, which is I'm looking to trade time for wealth. As a person in tech, that makes me a high earner, but I have to pay income tax on those salaries and wages and all that kind of stuff. And it makes more sense for me to devote all of my effort to being part of a GP team and getting equity in return for my time. That makes a lot more sense for me. So that's my motivation. The next one is the most common one, which is fast tracking your retirement. There are 2 things that are implied in fast tracking your retirement. If you're in your early 20s and you say that you're fast tracking your retirement, I don't really believe you, because you don't have enough time to actually start on that journey. But the second thing too is it means that there's an endpoint in mind. Okay, the endpoint being, maybe once you're an accredited investor, you're saying, hey, I'm out of here, I'm going to move to the Philippines or someplace where it's really, really cheap, and then that way you just take her easy, as opposed to the next group, which are unbelievably ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown, and they're just not going to stop. These are the guys who hustle and hustle and hustle. If you're talking about long-term legacy as well, that's very similar to the wanting to buy your hometown as well. But you need to have somebody like that, because as I mentioned, if the person's just going to rest on their laurels once they get some, is it mocrum or monochrome? I always forget that word.
I don't know which one either.
Yeah, if you get success, then at least they're going to keep going. And the last one is I say it's an irrational need to help tenants, but more accurately, if there's some sort of sector of society that you really want to support, it's really clear if you think about it that generating wealth is the best vehicle to make a real impact on society. So some people, they have a soft spot for like pets or something like that, and sometimes it's veterans or whatever. But those are the 5 different motivations. So Paul, what's your biggest motivation? What combination of those really describes you best?
I would say time is a big thing for me. So I'm a big fan of not having to work very hard. I don't like having to go and sit in a chair for a bunch of hours a day. So that's kind of my motivation. How can I make it where all I get to do is do the things that I want to do all day and help the people that I want to help all day, and then hopefully that can fit into like 4 or 5 hours a day. Outside of that, I'm not excited. I don't want to work 80 hours in a week. So that's for me. That's why I like commercial real estate a lot, is that you can structure these things in a way where it can make sense for everybody. Plus, it can, like you mentioned earlier, get you where you want to go as far as having that freedom and having more of your own time. So that's probably my big thing.
Yeah, I love that. It's just, who wants to find the most difficult way to become,
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah, I'm not a volume type person either. Like, I don't want to do a bunch of small things a bunch of times. I'd rather do a couple big things a few times, and that's all I need.
Cool. And let's talk about roles. You've already mentioned that you're a licensed attorney. You should also
Right.
follow him on TikTok. And it's TikTok lawyers or
Yeah,
lawyer.
plural. It's plural.
Plural. Okay,
Right.
TikTok lawyers. Okay, so if you're on TikTok, but the next segment is on the different roles, and there are 6 of them. So let me go through these for the audience in case they don't know. So
Repositioner.
the
All
first
right.
role is a repositioner. That's someone who looks at a whole whack of deals. They definitely have to underwrite the deals, and what they're really looking for is upside. Okay, so that's why I got these pictures up here. So how
Good.
does a repositioner find upside? There are 2 main ways. First one is more efficient operations. Okay, operations is, there's more to it than a lot of people might think on the outside. That's why I've got these Benjamins going down the toilet here. Is because like managing the money, doing the marketing, that's all part of the GPT. Legally, you have to have some sort of extra skill if you're just generating capital or something like that. So a lot of people end up having to find something in the operations side in order to stay on the right side of the law. But anyway, if you can get those costs down, then using the operations, then there's some upside. Right now, we're in the hottest real estate market in history, so that's usually not enough. So usually we end up having to get a contractor to do value add. You end up
Right.
fixing it all up, making the place nicer, and then that way you can charge more rent. And then that way you get more money generated out of the property. Boom, that's upside. But if you're like me and you're from the internet, you've got a problem, which is that you're not there. I'd have to get my passport and a plane ticket in order to get to the properties. So I need a local. You need the boots on the ground. You need somebody who can check in and make sure that the operations people are actually doing what they say they are, and the contractors are actually keeping the schedule. They're not cutting corners and all that kind of stuff. So that's more or less what people think of normally when you're buying a property, but there's more to it. You still have to have financiers. A capital raiser is still a form of financier, but really a financier is a bank. And so the repositioner will turn around and say, hey, Mr. Financier or Ms. Financier or whatever, and say, I need to borrow tens of millions of dollars because I want to buy a property that's worth tens of millions of dollars. And they're going to ask you, okay, this property looks okay, but who's your sponsor? And that's the one that a lot of people are a little bit surprised about when they first get into this. If you want to get a loan for these properties, somebody in the fold has to own a similar asset. Okay, so that means if you want to buy a 350 unit apartment complex, even if you are Elon Musk, if you want to get a loan, you have to have a sponsor, and then somehow in this die you need to get an amount of liquidity and a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. So those are the 6 different roles. You being an attorney, that makes it a little bit interesting as far as what your role. But
Yeah,
as far
I
as
need another side.
yeah. I think it's kind of operations as well as in the
Yeah,
form
yeah.
of legal
I
counsel,
think I'm
right?
the toilet. I think I'm the toilet roll holder. That's kind of my thing. I like keep
Yeah.
it together, make sure that all the Benjamins don't go spilling in there. I like make sure they're all. I think that's it. I'm a toilet roll holder. That's not
Okay.
bad.
Oh, yeah. The actual role.
Yeah,
Okay.
it like holds the roll in place and stops it so it doesn't go into the toilet. I'm like kind of that.
Okay. Okay. So, and then as far as are there any other sides of the die that
Yeah, so we do. Yeah, so we do a lot of syndication work. So that's kind of on the financier and the operation side, and on the KP sponsor side. So we do all that. That's like our day job. But then when we're actually part of the deal, our thing is kind of on the financier side. So we obviously we can do all the syndication work, but we also have a decent network, and we help people put together deals, come up and structure them. One of the things a lot of people don't really get their arms around is, like you mentioned, the KP. What the hell does that person do? Why do they need to get involved? So we educate people on that, and then we come up with how should we structure this where it's going to be attractive to somebody with some money, so they want to dive in the deal. And there's a bunch of ways to do that. So we've seen a lot of examples. We've been through a lot ourselves. So that's kind of where we fit in, is helping the financier and the sponsor and all the operation stuff kind of come together. We're the middleman, a glorified middleman or woman.
Excellent.
Not a
Excellent.
woman,
Yeah, you'll have to disregard the fact that Paul is extremely self-deprecating with what people do.
though.
But
He is a clown, people.
well, yeah, it's
Oh,
important to take it a little bit easily, because
right.
there's a lot to be serious about in these.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, that's right. This podcast is fun though, man. I like the little thing. Good job with the visuals.
Well, thanks. So the next question for the next segment is your buy box. So we're talking geographic area, we're talking unit count and class. What's your ideal property look like? What's easier?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, like when people, I got asked this at somebody else's podcast. I can't remember, maybe Nick Lamagna, but it was like, hey, what's your buy box? I don't really have one. I have a lot of different factors that need to work together for it to go. So like the partners on it, that's a huge thing for me. Like I don't dive in. I'm not going to be on the internet being like, if you have a deal, let's partner. I'll like, I'm not into that. So for me, I need to know the partners. I got to trust those people really well. And then that's it for me. I don't have any specific geographical area. I mean, I own 2 assets in Illinois. Like I would have never thought I'd bought that. It's just the timing of the whole thing worked out. The partners on it has worked out, and that's it for me. So my buy box is really partners and timing. I have these 2 assets this year. I've had some people approach about doing something else this year, but I'm like, I feel comfortable with where I'm at. I don't have a buy box of any sort of door count. I just want things that I'm excited about, and that's all I'm looking for.
Right, right. Well, you did say that you prefer to be on the bigger side, though, just so that
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I don't want. So it's different, right? If it's a 30 unit in Chicago, that's awesome. If it's a 30 unit in Canton, Ohio, I'm not excited about that. So if it's in kind of the markets that I'm in right now, I'd love for it to be over like 50 or 60 units. That's kind of the base startup. And it obviously depends on the class and everything else, but anywhere around 50 is a good start, and then just kind of decide from there.
All right, great. And the next question, and you get bonus points for referring to the die. It's without breaking any
Tell
SEC,
your friends.
right? Without breaking any SEC restrictions.
Oh, sure. We're not, you don't need to worry about that here. We're fine.
Right, right, right. It's there's always somebody, like everybody is so helpful in commercial real estate, and
Right.
so, but there's always some sort of person that you can help more than anybody else. You've already given some insight on who you'd be looking to help. It's somebody, it sounds like in a good market who's got a deal on the bigger side. But can you describe, without enticing any investors, the perfect person to for you to help more than anybody else?
Yeah, I think a newbie, someone that's just spent, the last 6 months figuring out this whole game, knows somebody that knows somebody, or got an original like direct to owner deal and they don't know where to start. That would be a great fit for me, because I really get a lot of joy out of peeling back the curtain and telling people like, this is it. This is really all it is. Like, you mentioned the KP sponsor thing. If you haven't done this for a little bit, you're thinking like, well, where are these unicorns? Like, what are these people? It's like, these are people you were at that conference with all over the place. So that's a great person for me to help. I really like that. Obviously, I would probably get the syndication work too, which I like doing. But I really feel like I can add a lot of value to that person and help them kind of take off. And maybe it's somebody that I want to have a relationship with down the road, so that would be that'd be a good person to contact me if they got one, if they got a live one and they're not really sure what the hell to do next.
Awesome. And you and I met through Tim Brotz. I found out about Tim Brotz through my last job when my old boss ended up working with him, and I
Right.
ended up taking his mastermind. But you are, as I mentioned, you're one of the TikTok lawyers, and you're on
Right.
LinkedIn, and you're I think you're a bit more active on Facebook than LinkedIn with your deal
Yeah, yeah.
structure.
I don't do enough on LinkedIn. I don't know why. I just don't, but I should. I'm gonna start resharing more of my videos and stuff. But yeah, we're on Facebook. We have a, like everybody else on earth, we have a education group. We kicked off about 3 or 4 months ago, and that's doing well. And we get a lot of kicks out of that. So if anybody wants to connect up, find me on Facebook, or like you mentioned, TikTok lawyers, or Instagram. I'm on there too. So.
Okay, great. So that's the best way to get a hold of you, or is it through your website or?
Yeah, so if somebody wants to hit me up, like my email is great. It's just paul@vincentesq.com. Email's perfect. Or I have one of those text like community things. So if you want to text me, 440-298-2336. Send me a text. I get that notified too. So
Great. Awesome. And for those of you who know Paul and you don't know me, my background is in e-commerce technology, which means I help people send a whole whack of emails, build their funnels, their online funnels, as far as lead capture and also online sales funnels. But I do have a little favor to ask you in the audience, which is if you look at my hand right over here, you'll see a big red button that says subscribe, and it makes me sad. So if you could just hit that button and then it'll turn gray, and then I won't be sad because it means
yes, make him
YouTube
happy.
will pay for these videos instead of me. How much better is that? The good news is it doesn't cost you anything, and all it means is that my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. That's a big might. You might never see me again, even if you do
That's
suggest.
right. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
But anyway, Paul, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been really fantastic catching up with you.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks a lot.